Hello, this is Susanna from Hold It Right There Sewing Patterns. Thanks for watching my video tutorials for the Tremont Crossbody Bag sewing pattern. To make the Tremont Crossbody, you will need to purchase the sewing pattern from my website linked below. This beautiful Tremont was created by Sue of Dreamscape Studio, a member of my testing team. I really love the zipper overlay she added to it, and I thought I'd create this tutorial to show you how to add a zipper overlay to your Tremont if you'd like to do so. In addition to all of the supplies covered in your Tremont Crossbody Bag sewing pattern, you will need an overlay template. I've created free overlay templates available on my website linked below. I've included 3 shapes and 2 sizes with the templates, one for the smaller exterior Tremont zipper window and one for the larger lining zipper window. I recommend printing out your overlay templates on cardstock paper. You will need cork, vinyl, or leather for your overlay. For each overlay, it needs to be 2.5 by 9 inches. You will need a rotary cutter, cutting mat and ruler, sharp scissors, a pen, chalk if you wish, and glue or double-sided tape. One additional supply you might find helpful is an X-Acto knife, or sometimes it's called a craft knife. Let's start by making an overlay for the exterior of your Tremont Crossbody Bag. The way we make this zipper pocket is a little different than in your pattern instructions, but the placement of the zipper pocket is exactly the same location, so you'll want to be sure to keep your pattern instructions handy and refer to them throughout this tutorial. So let's begin on how to make the zipper overlay for your exterior panel. For this, you'll need your prepared 8-inch zipper and your exterior zip pocket D pieces. Place one exterior zip pocket D right side up. Be sure that it is oriented 7 inches high by 8 inches wide. Place the zipper right side up at the top edge of D. Pin or clip in place. Be sure the zipper pull is on the left. Sew using an 1/8 inch seam allowance to a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. Repeat the same step with the remaining exterior zip pocket D piece, pinning or clipping the right side of the zipper to the upper edge of the right side of the pocket. This time, the zipper pull is facing to the right. Once again, sew the zipper using a 1/8 inch to scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. Here you can see the zipper sewn to my pocket. The right side of the zipper is visible from the wrong side of the fabric, and the wrong side of the zipper is visible from the right side of the fabric. What you'll want to do is open up your pocket fully, lay it flat, and give it a good press on both sides so that the seam allowances are flush with the fabric and the zipper. Set aside the zipper and the pocket for now. Locate your exterior panel front A, ruler, and pen. In your pattern instructions, you trace the 6 inch by 1/2 inch rectangular zipper window on the wrong side of the fabric. But for this method, we trace the rectangle on the right side of the fabric of the exterior panel front A. Be sure to refer to your pattern instructions for the exact placement and trace it on the front of your panel as I am doing here. Set aside the exterior A piece for now. Locate your overlay templates and cut out the template of your choice. Cut around the outer black lines and then cut the inside rectangle out as well. If you have a craft knife, you might find it helpful to use it for cutting out the small inside rectangle. With our template fully cut out, we're ready to trace it onto our overlay material. You will need your overlay material, pen or chalk, and your template. Turn your overlay material wrong side up and place the template over top. Trace around the outer edges of your template as well as the inside rectangle. I find it helpful to use a ruler as I'm tracing my overlay template. Cut out your traced overlay around the outside and the inner rectangle using sharp scissors, a rotary cutter, or a craft or X-Acto knife. Small sharp scissors are really useful for accurately cutting out the inner rectangle. Place your overlay right side up over the marked rectangle on the right side of the exterior panel front A. Use either double-sided tape or a bit of fabric glue to keep the overlay from shifting. Make sure that your glue or double-sided tape won't interfere with the stitching of your overlay. In other words, glue or tape well within 1/8 of an inch of the inner and outer edges of your overlay. Using a 1/8 inch seam allowance, top stitch around the outer edge of your overlay. Rather than backstitching your beginning and ending stitch as you normally do with sewing, leave your beginning and ending top and bobbin sewing machine threads long, and then in a moment I'll show you how to use a hand sewing needle to pull the threads to the wrong side of your panel and knot them. Use a hand sewing needle with a fairly large eye and thread those long beginning and ending sewing machine threads through the needle. Then insert the needle through one of your stitches, beginning from the front side of your panel, and pull the needle to the wrong side of your panel. And now you have these long sewing machine threads all on the back side. You'll have a total of 4, the beginning and ending top and the beginning and ending bobbin threads. Take all those threads and tie them in a double knot. This will not only secure the top stitching that you just did, but it gives you a way to not have to backstitch your beautiful top stitching and leaving kind of a bump or just sort of a little bit of unsightly stitching. We're now going to cut out the center of the rectangle through the fabric and the interfacing. To do this, make a tiny snip with your sharp scissors and then cut the remainder. You just want to be very careful not to cut the overlay itself. I find it helpful to turn the panel wrong side up and trim the fabric and interfacing away so that none of it is showing through the overlay opening. If you want to, use a bit of fabric sealant such as Dritz Fray Check on the raw edges of the fabric that you just cut to prevent them from fraying. Locate the pocket that you prepared earlier. Center the zipper in the overlay rectangle window. Use a bit of glue or double-sided tape to keep the zipper from shifting. You will need to keep the pocket pieces out of the way for this step, so one of the pocket pieces will extend above the panel and the other pocket piece will be below the panel. Take your time to evenly center the zipper inside the rectangle window. Now top stitch 1/8 inch from the inside rectangle. Move the zipper pull out of the way as needed while you're sewing. Be sure that you're keeping the zipper pocket completely open, as I have here, so that you're not sewing the two pocket pieces together in this step, only the zipper to the overlay. Rather than backstitching, again, I would suggest leaving your sewing machine threads long and using a hand sewing needle to thread those long threads through your overlay and tying them on the wrong side of your panel. The overlay is now done. All that remains is to sew up the pocket. Turn your panel wrong side up And you'll notice that the bottom edges of the pocket are uneven. Trim off the excess, it's about 3/4 of an inch, all the way across, evening up the bottom edges of your pocket. Pin or clip the sides and bottom, and then sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. While you are sewing the sides and bottom of your pocket, you will need to keep your panel out of the way as you sew. If you are making an overlay for your lining, just be sure that you only sew the sides of the pocket. You do not want to sew the interior zip pocket K closed, because that's the way we turn the bag right side out at the end of construction. One other small note I want to add is if you're making the overlay for your interior zip pocket K, your 8-inch zipper is just a little bit short. The pocket width is 8.5 inches. Your zipper is 8 inches. It really doesn't interfere with the construction of the pocket in this way. Just make sure that your zipper is centered. As you see, I have it centered here in this photo of piece K, interior zip pocket K. We have one final step, and that is to trim our seam allowances close to the stitching. If this is the zipper pocket in your exterior panel, you will be trimming the seam allowances on the sides and the bottom. But remember, if this is the interior or lining zip pocket K, you don't sew or trim that bottom edge. That is necessary for turning our bag at the end of construction. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, and happy sewing.